Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Plus3 Futures and Commodities Show. My name is Ben Maldonado. As always, I'm here with my partner, Barrie Hederachi. How you doing, Barrie?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks.
Excellent. We're recording here on Saturday, the 23rd of July, Saturday afternoon, after a very interesting week. The bear market rally continued in risk, and here's Bitcoin, which, as we talked about last week, was looking like it was ready for a rally, and we sure got it. And we pushed right to where you'd expect it to be, into that upper level full square resistance, right? That 24.5 area. We didn't quite get there, but that's close enough for government work.
Close enough for Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the question here now is, our target, what we're looking for. The target box is here, in this sort of 9,500 to 12,000 range. A couple different ABCs complete down there, so that's kind of an interesting target. Until we see if we can get through this 24.5 area, when I was reviewing for the show, I looked at this and I said, you know what, this has all the makings of like pushing up here into like the eighth. A little bit higher than the full square, possibly even up to the quarter if we really get crazy. And when you look left, you can see the resistance that's there. That's the resistance for the quarter. There's a resistance for the eighth. So while we're getting late in the cycle, we do have some time here, August 17th, if it does the 141-day cycle that it did previously. On a low to high, here it would be a high to high. That's kind of what I'm thinking, is that we've got a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks more that it can push here. So maybe we do get above here, give everybody hope, and then they pull the plug on the final plunge. What's your view here, Barrie? Anything different with Bitcoin?
Yeah, I just feel like the low is not in place yet, just because of the way the market is responding, coming off that low. So it feels like it should get at least to half square, if not full square down below at some point. And this is it's not a quick recovery. So normally if it's squared out from different places, it should have a faster recovery. So it's just a little bit slow, which tells me, there's more to go. That's my call.
I'm 100% with you on that. So. Yeah, I mean, it's weak. This kind of recovery is weak. It says there's not a lot of strength behind this market. So I'm just looking at what it may do in the remaining time in these cycles. We've got August 9th to August 17th is the target zone time-wise. To set some sort of high off of which we're going to take the potentially the terminal plunge, whether it's to the half square, the full square, the target box, somewhere in here. So we'll see how it plays out.
But it's definitely on the weak side. So
agreed with that. All right, let me flip it over to you, run through the big five, and then when you come back, we'll take a quick whirl through multiple commodities, because again, we're coming into and looks like we're trying to hammer out bottoms in a lot of these. There's the mini.
It is a scratchy little chart.
Yeah, looks like it's approaching an ABC you got drawn in there.
Well, we did have let's zoom in a little bit, take a look. It's probably a good time to do a little bit of a deeper review here. Yeah, we had that ABCD come in. Now that it's in, get rid of it.
Right.
Close enough.
Where to now?
Where to? Well, this is the big question. So we left it off last week at 38.50, saying, look, we definitely need to hold this. And once if we can get above and hold above, and if you look at the 4 hour, 30-minute and drop a line at 38.50, you can see how we sort of broke out and came back and rechecked, and we cleared that area. And the second area we were looking for was around 39.34, which is the half square. And you can you don't even have to go into a lower time frame. You can see how 4 days, you can see the lows here, lows here. So we kind of bounced off that level, so I would say the level held. And we were looking for about 100-point rally if we can clear that, which would bring us to about 40, 50. Yeah, and the ABCD was right in there somewhere. So we sort of made it to the ABCD, not quite 40, 50. We're, a few points away. So I'm thinking that was what we had left. It was a pretty good rally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, right? That ABCD might have finished this leg. Now we're looking for some kind of a consolidation. So the key here, I feel this 39.30 area is the key now, because we sort of cleared it. This last Friday bar actually made air above it. So it's a clean bar. So if we come back and retest this Monday, Tuesday, and we hold above this 39.34, 39.30 area, then I think we might have enough to go back and retest this 40.50 is my call. On the other side, if we break through this 39.30 area and we kind of bump up against it from below and can't really make any headway, then I think we're back to rechecking the lows, and that might be the end of this rally. Either way, what I wanted to mention was, we have this 4,100 level. I feel like no matter what happens here, the probabilities are we're not going to get above that. It's probably going to, somehow, all the business will be below that level, because if we take that out, that's just going to change at least the cycles I'm looking at, and it'll set up whole nother leg much higher, which we could do, and we'll watch the levels to do that. But for now, this 4,100 seems like like the upper limit of what we can do. We should at least get to 40.50 on this particular leg here, if we can hold the 39.30 area. That's a call. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm a little more bullish cycle because of the cycles. We're coming, the window's opening where we can make the high now. So I want to see what price does. Somehow I'm thinking, knowing the ES and the way it, always goes as you always say, always goes further than you think possible. That 4180, 4200 area is what's, sort of prominently on my radar right now as what, if things really get going to the upside, what it could push to.
That's where the pool is. Kind of see the pool being there.
But I'm really open to, this high coming in the next couple of weeks. The next 2-3 weeks is really big cycle wise in my work. So I really want to see how price acts going into sort of this mid-August timeframe, and let's see where we get. Right
now, going off of the low, the COVID lows here, you can see the 180 degrees up. It's around 36.19, and we floated right above that, which was bullish at the time. We were also 144 down. So this is a really good support level. And I think one of the things we have to, this leg is fine. We can manage this if you watch the levels. But I'll tell you, the thing to watch is if this level goes, I think we can do this entire square in a heartbeat.
Wow.
Right? So that's the thing to watch. Yeah, it's all fun and games to watch.
Right. We have to, what you're basically pointing out is, whether we go to 4,000 or 4,100 or 4,200, big picture, it's weak, and you get that off the monthly weeklies.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing to watch. Not get if we come back down. Well, not if, I should say, when we come back down here, right, and we're unable to hold that. You really, we'll be on it because we're on this weekly, but that's the thing to watch. This is the big deal, I think, going into the future, and this weekly. Catching these little legs is fine, but I think we really had to be on top of this. If it goes down there, it takes it out, mainly because it's such a key level, right? It's a key level off the low. It's a key level off the high. And when you have those kinds of levels get taken out, it means there's a lot more to go. It could be 2 squares down. So, I'll go out in a little bit and say that. I think
no, I like that point, because, and again, if we harken back to the cycles that you and I've been looking at, Barrie, it's also not crazy to think we might see some panic.
Well, we need one. We haven't really had one. This has all been very gentle, and everybody's trying
orderly.
Yeah, it's a little too orderly and too sentiment wasn't that bearish. Everybody still had the seatbelts on, and
Right.
so we'll see how it plays out. We're going to play a week at a time. So for now, that's the deal.
Okay.
And let's take a look at the weekly. Now the week, let's see here. Well, a couple of things. One is that we sort of did the normal sort of corrective move. I think this is another reason why sentiment's like, that's about done. Let's buy the dip. Let's get this done behind us. And remember when we drew out these boxes a while back, and I said, look, once we finish that, that's a measured move. We should get some kind of a correction off of that. So we basically, almost went there. Close enough for this kind of work. And we're starting to get a little bit of a bounce. And like I said, the key now is to really watch the levels, because we did, the 72 down is a pretty, it's a fairly normal move. And if we go back to the COVID, again, 72 degrees down, you see that? It's pretty good. And if you go over here, in 2018, that was half the square.
Half square, yep.
Right?
36. Yep.
36. And if you go, way back.
2008. Yeah.
Go back to 07. You can see we went three quarters of a square, right? So the 72 vibe is in there, and you definitely have to watch it. Just to say, we did finish something, right? We did the 72, we did match that. But this big cycle at the high, like when we were talking, we talked about it at the time, we had a lot of big cycles expiring here. They are big cycles, and let's not forget that. So this is why I'm saying, if this logo is now, you can easily see why we can go another square, right? We can at least go back and test these, and that'll be just one more square.
Yeah.
And that would definitely set some panic in, and that would probably be the washout if we get that. So
what levels are the quarter? If we went up another quarter and then up to the half, what levels are you looking at roughly?
Well, roughly 40.75.
And then the half square?
And the half square is 42.30.
Yeah, so
that's the 42 number you're looking at, right?
Yeah, if you just do a 50% retrace, you get the 42.
Yeah, exactly, right there. So for now, the importance of this low is not that, hey, there's a low, let's get long. I think what I'm trying to emphasize is, hey, there's a low, and if that goes, there's going to be huge opportunity opening up.
It's funny because I've been talking about on Twitter, the next sell is the one we want to get.
I think so.
That's the big one.
Yeah, because that would be, everybody should be on the wrong foot.
That's what they call panic wave or recognition wave.
And we'll watch that. I mean, we know the levels. If you don't have the squares, you're not going to know. But we have 72 down. We know how important that is. And now we're watching the rally into resistance. We'll see where that is. And of course, we'll cover that and talk about it. So for now, those are the levels to watch. And we'll pick it up next week. And if you guys, I was going to say, we also post updates, on Twitter. So if you guys follow us there, then, between shows, we keep things updated. Ben a lot more than I do, but I did post that ABCD completing in real time, and we did sell off after that. So that worked out. And also, if you guys like our work, please feel free to click the likes and share the videos.
I just want to also publicly acknowledge, Barry, the levels that you post every week on this E-mini segment are fantastic. And if you don't believe me, you could say, oh, this guy's full of crap. He's just promoting his buddy. Go back and listen to the shows, listen to the levels he posts, and then watch price that week. You'll see the levels are great. If you just watch this one segment and you trade the ES, it's well worth your time because the levels are fantastic.
All right, thanks, Ben.
No worries.
Yeah, and the numbers are good. Hey, that's why it's on record, right? People can go back and check it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to bonds. Last week I left it off here talking about we had this resistance line drawn in. Let me zoom in a bit. And since we cleared the square, this 216, I basically said if we hold above the square, we're probably going to rally and go up and test this 146. And looks like we're pretty well on track to do that.
Looks like Friday was the breakout, right?
Yeah, Friday we broke out. I would, obviously on the next pullback, we want to hold above these levels, let's just say 141.5 or so. We want to hold above that. And I mean, that would be very good, right?
Mhm.
And if you look closely at this 140, you can see how, that's sort of a area of resistance also. And that's where the breakout really came, right? Like we came up to here, then next day we broke out. So we want to hold above this level now on any kind of a pullback. And then I think that would sort of pave the way till we get to 146, which is the next big number. So till then, I think we're pretty good with bonds. And if you look at the weekly, it supports that. We had a 1.5 squares going into the low. And last couple of weeks, we've been talking about, we came up and hit 141 number up here. And I think what we talked about at the time was, look, if this is resistance, if the market is weak, obviously we're not going to hang around up here. We're probably going to sell off and go back and test the lows.
Mhm.
We're talking about how it's going to hold up here, because on the daily we had levels right under it, and you can see, we had the inside bar last week, and well, the week before, and then last week we slowly broke out.
Mhm.
So now that we're above, at least basis weekly, we get above this 141 area, it opens up a lot more upside. So I think this is some kind of a relief rally that's coming in. So let's enjoy it while we can.
I agree, and it kind of supports, a push higher in the equities too, as long as bonds aren't getting killed.
Right.
Equities, sort of have the free pass to go higher. So we'll see. We'll see how it affects risk.
Okay, moving on to crude. So we're watching. It's 97 was the level earlier, then 91 is the level under it. And last week was spent pretty much retesting this right in the middle, around 92, 93. And I would say we're kind of in trouble here. This is not entirely bearish yet till we take out the 72. Like what I mean by that is we get stuck under it. So let's say we get stuck under 95, and especially if we take out 91 after that, that opens up at least down to 77, 75. So that would be a trade we really want to watch and maybe even take when it sets up. But it's not as strong as I would expect it if it was meant to go on to new highs at this point. So it's probably lower first, but 91 is the key level to watch. 91 to 95 is the level to watch. So we might consolidate here, and that might be more bullish in the long run. But for next week, that's what I have. And I just want to look at the weekly to sort of frame it in the bigger picture. Now, on the weekly basis, this 90 was a really important level.
It's the first weekly close below it.
That's right. And this is not bullish. You have to call it what it is. So we should have held it. This little poke last week before was okay. Last week, if we could have managed to hang above this and move higher, but we didn't. Yeah, it's an inside bar, and it closed on, pretty close to the low. So this is looking fairly bearish for now. And the way it would flip would be to get back above 97. So as long as we're below 97, I think 91, 97, that area is sort of the buffer. And if we can't really clear 95, 97, we're probably going to go a little bit lower, probably test this quarter square, which happens to be exactly the old high, right? Around 85 or so. But like we saw on the daily, it really opens up downside down into 73, 75. So that's the thing. This is sort of what do you call these critical areas, right?
Yeah, decision points.
And we're slipping through one. So that's a big deal here this week. So when you come back to the daily, where this box was the key level we have to hold, and you can see how we're slowly slipping. We're making lower lows and lower highs through it. So it's looking weak. Yeah, we could snap her out of it, but we'll see. But those are the numbers. Watch 97 to the upside, 91 to the downside. And
yeah, it's got to make a higher low on the daily here on this pullback. Otherwise, they're in trouble. It's in trouble.
They're in trouble.
Yep.
And it'll be again, it's got room to go.
Mhm.
Right.
Price
Next one
action
is-
this week's going to be pretty important in that market.
yes, and what that we have a FOMC this
Yep.
week,
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So it's definitely setting up for exciting,
Yeah.
exciting week.
Yep, for sure.
And at critical, man, and these are all at critical levels. So we really gotta-
Everything. It's crazy. Crazy. All the commodities are at critical spots here.
Mhm. So here's gold.
Speaking of
And-
critical,
Speaking of critical, we dropped this line last week, 716.76, and you can see where the low came in on Thursday, right?
Mhm.
Came up and bounced right off of it. Well, my take on gold is obviously the square 90, it's doing another square. It's not doing 90, because if it did 90, we would have held and it would have bounced, and we had a nice 90 by 90, and we didn't quite get that. And we can kind of say maybe it's 96 by 96,
Mhm.
but I don't want to keep pushing because people know you can just come up with all kinds of squares. It's never
Mhm.
ending, but we don't want to do that. We want to keep it. So yeah, I think gold has more to go. That's my call. This is support. So off of this 1676, we did get a little bit of a bounce. But it's more like a bounce, not a major corner, is my take on this, mainly because we really didn't square out. So yeah, we might go back up and test the 1765, possibly, if we're strong enough, right?
I just can't see how you can handle that, sort of like lay that candy out there for the boys to look at, with all those lows and probably
These-
all
yeah.
those stops
Yeah.
under here, and not
Exactly.
have them take it and test it.
So, you can also look at it and say, hey, listen, this is the old resistance, right? And now it's turned support. But yeah, I don't see that holding. This is just too perfect.
I'd rather see a flush and then a quick rebound. That would be really bullish.
Yeah. I think we'll get that. We're getting there. For one thing, we didn't hold the square. That's the first sign. Second, this is kind of like what kind of trap is this, right? So
Right.
let it play out. We have time, so time has to finish. So basically, for now, it's probably just going to hang around here below 1765, and we're all waiting for what the flush is going to look like when we take these lows out.
Interestingly, also I have this in my notes on the weekly that there's an ABCD that completes at 1665, which would take out all those lows.
Let's take a look at. Yeah, right here.
Yep, right there.
So weekly, that's the other thing. Weekly basically did a flush, if you want to use that.
Mhm.
I mean, this is all big old fourth wave, right? We came
Right.
down, did a big old ABCD down, and so 1670 is a level on the weekly that I have, and the ABCD is right there. I just think we just have to go there, and it just looks like a setup, right?
Yep, it sure
So,
does.
Let it finish up and be done with it. You can get on with business.
Yeah.
Looking at the mighty dollar, well,
Did we top?
man, there is evidence, but I would have liked to seen it top higher.
Mhm. Right.
So let's see. I got to be a little bit careful. We did, I was looking at, when these things square out, I'm always looking to see, well, what kind of time did we have? Are we having some kind of a important time cycles that expire at these levels?
Mhm.
And here, we have 45 days, a 45-day run up
Yep, nice run.
with a nice ABCD in the middle. And that, historically, that kind of a move will finish off of a big leg.
Yep.
Finish off a big leg.
Mhm.
And we have this sort of 3 drives going into it. So at this point, and
Now you're stuck under your full square.
yeah, we didn't quite hold above 107. So now I got to think, all right, we could have a decent high in place. Now, I don't know if this is the high. Yeah, no, but I think it's enough of a high. It's probably going to be a tradable high. What we got to watch is 107.25 is the key level to watch. And long as we're under that, it's definitely on a weaker footing than a stronger one. So, and this is a great example of how we break out of a square. Like we could have squared out here. No, we did that extra. And on the pullback, couldn't really hold above it, right? So that tells you, hey, it's weak. And you can see how, it just hung out there for a whole week and sold off on Friday. And we do have a trend line that's hugging pretty tightly. So we'll see how it goes. But having this 45-day run is definitely a red flag, and we have to respect that. And the evidence for respecting is that we couldn't really hold about 107. So that's the key now. So we'll see how it plays out next week, but its dollar should be to the weaker side.
So your bull bear line is that 107, 107 and a half area.
Yes. Yeah. And with this expiration, we should, at a minimum, come back and test the 50% line. So around 102, that's no pushover level. So still very strong. So that should be sort of the next level to look at. We'll see. The 107 looks fairly solid, man. We tried for a whole week. So here's the weekly.
Same story.
We did 144 up. Also, we did 60 weeks up into the high.
It's big.
And 2.5 squares. Yeah, it's pretty big. I wouldn't write this off. And because of that, I think that's why I'm saying, yeah, we have a high in place. It's a little bit tough to call it as a D high. But we know something happened here. Something came in, especially with that 45-degree run up. So I would say we have to treat it like a high is in place in the dollar. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's
should help commodities and precious metals. If that's true.
Well, that's the thing. Let's see if the gold, gold also bottomed, and we had that big, spike back up. So we got to watch those too. And so again, like we always say, if it's squared out, let's see what the next quality of the next pullback, see how that shows up, which should happen in the next 2 weeks, right?
No question.
And looking at the euro, big old flush down into parity. We looked at that, and I figured a little bit of a bounce is probably normal. And I'll leave it at that. I really didn't see a big square in the euro, but this 104, 105 area is definitely the next resistance, because we're under all of this now, right? So we slipped right through. So it looks like euro is going to spend some time below this 104, 105 area, which used to be the old lows, and probably dip a little lower before all be said and done. That's why I'm a little bit unsure about the dollar being all finished. So, right, because the euro really didn't show up. Now, of course, after I say that, we have the score of 60 here. Nice 240-degree move and a square. Still, it's still weak. And on a daily basis, if you want an early warning, and it's like really 103 is really the level to watch. See if we can get above that. It looks weak. And my take is that we're probably going to spend some time in this half square, the lower part of the square. And maybe even retest this. So we'll leave it at that. Let me put it back to you. We'll cover all the commodities and see what's happening. I'm sure we're getting ready for something, right?
Oh my God. They're all sort of, my attention went from earlier in the summer, not really concerned with the commodities, to now almost having to look at every one every day and really see if we've
especially if the dollar's put in some kind of a high and all these other things are lining up. So we have to watch it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me put it back to you. We'll continue.
Excellent review. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Well, the NQ almost got to your square.
Almost. It was pretty strong.
And a big reversal. Week. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the outside reversal.
Not quite, but it's definitely an outside bar. We closed within the previous bar, so it's not quite. So we're going to cover the NQs, right? We'll talk about that, and then the commodities. Just to give everybody heads up, the commodities we'll hit. We're going to hit wheat, corn, soybeans. We'll take a look at silver, copper. We'll look at nat gas, which was the big winner of the week for us, and finish up with cotton. So NQs, yes, we had some good strength. Friday was a big reversal, which probably is ushering in a little bit of a correction here. The big question is, do we come down and test the half square, or do we chop around sideways for a few more days, or part of the week coming up? Not really sure. We have to see what happens on the pullback. Clearly, this half square at the, call it 12,200 area is really important. If we pull back and hold that, it should give us a good base from which to launch higher. Looking at timing, this bear market rally here that we had in the February, March timeframe lasted 23 trading days. I said, what if this is a price wise we get a little bigger push, and time wise we get a little bigger rally, after this sort of first leg completed. 46 days would take us out to August 19th. Notice again, we're getting those mid-August dates. And if we just do 23 like the previous off the last low, off the swing low, it takes us to August 2nd. So in there is kind of, just looking at trading days is kind of some timing that I'm looking for. It's a bonus that it dovetails with the cycles we've been mentioning, on Twitter and on the show. Right now, I think we've had a nice push. See if we get some sort of pullback early in the week. If we can hold the half square, then the next leg up should start, and we can start looking to see where timing wise where the high might come in. Price wise, if we can get on top and sit on top of this square, rallying up to 13.4, and if they really want to push it up to the 14,000 level, it's possible.
Yeah.
The first things first, we got to see how does this first pullback, how does this, this correction that looks like started intraday Friday, how does that, play out, probably going into the Fed, it figures, we'll get some sort of pullback into the Fed, and then it's got to decide, we're going to take another leg up, or are we done and we're rolling over?
Or push down a little more than it should, as usual.
Right. Do they come down and test the trend line? Possible.
That would be scary.
Yeah, it would be scary. I mean,
going I like that half square line. That looks just about right. Give or take a little bit from that. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And with the Fed this week, extremes have to be expected. So we just gotta watch the levels, watch the pattern, and see what's most probable coming out of it. Given the framework that we have.
Right.
Anything else you want to add on the MQs?
No, we're good. We can move on.
Okay. Let's jump in. As we said about the commodities, last 2 weeks on the show, I've kind of been harping on the fact that, they're coming into lows. They've all been in corrections, which we picked up on early this year, January, February. Hey, watch out. We're coming into some highs, and some things are squaring out, some important 144 squares. The opposite's happening now. We're coming into lows. Things are squaring out. We have big timing cycle-wise into August, and all this is happening into this time frame. So there's a lot of things to look at. We're gonna take a quick trip through the commodity land, but a lot of these things are coming into areas where we really have to pay attention. We'll start with the grains. All right. So here's wheat. Anybody who's been watching the videos on a weekly basis, the story. We had the big move up. We've corrected that move. We now have 3 drives in place here. 1, 2, 3. And we're coming into a decent support level from a structural standpoint. These are the highs in early 21. These are the highs in late 20, early 21. So it's all in this area here. It is by no means, this is a knife catching exercise if you're trying to buy this. And I'm not really interested in that. But what I am interested in doing is watching price action from here. I talked about 750 when we were up in here, and didn't feel like we could get there, but here we are, 755. Long-term trend line off of the 2020 lows is coming into play this week. Would I be surprised if we pushed down and took out these lows here? Absolutely not. But that being said, we know the levels. And by the way, all the levels that we talk about are on a Google Doc spreadsheet that we share with everybody. We'll post the link to it when we post the link to the video on Twitter as well. So all the levels are there. We did get through this level, which is important in the 773 area. Next important level is this half square, call it at 700. So 750 to 700, anywhere in here, we can find support. So I'm watching the 4 hour, I'm watching the daily. There's divergences all over the place on the different time frames. The monthly chart is on support right now. Monthly support is right here at 755, 750, right in this area. So we want to watch it. We want to look for a setup on a shorter time frame, because I don't believe the bull market ended here. I think this is a correction, and the next leg is going to be starting at some point in the next few weeks. Actually, there's an interesting thing with the grains too. This week is a potential date for a low on the grains. The 28th, I believe, that's when we have a new moon.
Okay.
The grains do, obviously, their agricultural products do react to timing with the moon, and we've got that coming up here on the 28th. So we'll see. This week could be a good week. It could be first week of August, could be second week of August. It's time to pay attention here.
Right.
Anything else to add on wheat?
Well, it's starting to show a little bit of a three drives pattern. So it's possible we go, finish it up on the line, maybe break some of those old lows, false break, and flip around. So we'll have to watch it.
Absolutely.
Looks like we could go a little, even if we go lower next week, the three drives still be in place. So
yeah, it's a nice symmetrical three drive. So let's see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one we want to look at is corn. Pattern is fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'll tell you with corn, which is interesting, look at the pattern from April of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
You had your high, first pullback, lower high, gap down, and then we sort of went into this fourth wave and then false break here and took off again. Here's your high, first pullback, lower high, gap down, come down into, powerful sort of third wave here. Had a big, strong rally up that failed. And then are we setting up for the false break again? It's a pattern I'm watching. Same thing with wheat. We're coming into areas of support. Look at this sort of, 6 month, 6 month of price action here where we were below this line, with little pokes above. And we're now coming down, approaching the line. That line is, that full square is, call it 558, 559. And we're right there. We're in the neighborhood. So I'm watching corn with the same sort of vigor as watching wheat. Don't think the absolute low is in yet, but we have to watch it and see, when and how it comes in, whether it's on this daily or on a 4 hour or on a lower time frame. If you want to look at it on the same sort of three drives, you got one drive, two drive, maybe we bounce and do a third, or maybe it just does two drives, who knows? Weekly timing, same thing as that new moon timing, which is coming this week. There's weekly timing for this week on corn, so it's worth watching closely. Anything else you have to add on corn? Well,
I think the next square is, between here and the bottom of the next square is basically critical zone, right?
The bottom zone, yep.
Somewhere it has to be. Mm-hmm. And if we take out the September low and reverse, oh boy, I think that would be a good spot if we get that far. We'll
right.
see.
And if you look, just here on the daily, I'll show you on the monthly show, I'll show you instances like Barry's saying, the setup he's looking for where you take it out and then turn. Even on the daily, you can see it, right? We were coming down, we had these lows in place, we rallied up off, we drifted down, took it out, and then it was gone. Right up. And as you look at commodities and you spend more time with the commodity charts, you see that is a characteristic. Look at the high here, the false break high, right? It's going up, everything looked good, pulled back, held the full square. Looks like we're going again, false break, that's it.
Right.
They do it all the time. So we're on the lookout for it. You know, is it here or here? Possible. Or do they bring it down here and do it here or here? We just got to watch. Price will tell us. No need. We don't have to predict. We don't have to jump in beforehand. We just wait for price to show us, you know, the signal. So that's corn. Let's go to the last grain. This one took it in the teeth this week, but look at where we ended.
Good level.
Good level and completed the ABC.
Right.
From the top.
Well,
But
this
look
is
at
the one to watch next week. No question about it.
Absolutely. We have squared out. We did the ABC and we found support right where we're supposed to on the half square. So this is one that this coming week, I'm going to be watching a 4-hour like a hawk to see if we get a decent setup to where we can enter with a good risk reward ratio. I mean, because Barrie was talking about it in the ES and some of the other, I think it was the dollar about, you know, ending on an ABC. It's a common pattern that when it happens, if you can end on that ABC on some sort of support, a lot of times, not always, nothing's 100%, but a lot of times, you know, it signals the end of a leg and something new started. And we just may have that in soybeans.
And, you know, beans, if you take that June high, I'm looking at my charts here. If you take that June high to the low, that's a 120-degree move. And we did it in 30 days, right?
Yep.
That's 30-day move and 120 degrees. So
exactly. That's the exact, in my notes, I have 125 by 30 on the daily.
There you go. And 1297 is a very important level on my chart. So that's, we're almost there. 1297 is just basically where your square is. Square line, half
right
square.
there.
Yeah.
Yep. Right in here.
Right in there. So yeah, definitely something to start watching it.
Yep. Look for your setups on your shorter term time frames. You know, as long as they provide you with a good risk reward ratio, this is the kind of setup you look for. So we'll see how it plays out. And remember, this could get taken out and we could go down to this next level. That's a possibility too, which is why you don't anticipate. You wait for the signal. You have the setup, then you wait for the signal. But if you don't get the signal, you don't trade. So that's beans. Let's go to Barrie covered gold. And I agree with him on gold. You know, we talked about the potential setup in gold being a little too cute and with the quadruple or quintuple bottom, probably going to take that out at some point on a false break. But let's look at silver, which has some interesting characteristics right now. So in my notes on silver, the interesting thing here is from high to low here, we've done 72 by 90. The 72 is not a particularly resonant vibration or important vibration with silver, but the 90 is pretty important, right? 90 in time is really important. You can see we're right on the full square here. I'm on the lookout. The way the pattern is unfolding, though, it looks like we need one more push lower, you know, to kind of take this out, take out this low, maybe do a false break and then go. So it's not like, oh, full steam ahead, let's buy it, especially because we are stuck under this full square level, which is, call it 1890. But it's again, a pattern I want to watch because of the fact that we've done 90 in time. And 90 in time is pretty important. So let's watch silver this week. Getting above and sitting on top of 1890 would be very bullish and something we would want to see as a trigger to look at getting in. The weekly support is at 1850, which is right about here. So you can see we're grinding right here between weekly support and that full square. And I'm just wondering, you know, which way we're going to break first. If we break down, do we do a false break and that gives us a good bullish signal, or can we break up and sit on top, which would be bullish as well. Also, we would complete an ABCD, or we did complete a weekly ABCD on silver on the way down. So there's signs here I don't think we're completely out of the woods yet on silver, and my gut tells me there's one more flush, just like in gold. But let's see how it plays out and what price tells us this week. What else do you have to add here on silver?
Well, just that I have 1725 as a sort of a key level, and also around 1625. So those two levels are, that would be a good area to flip it around if we can get down there.
Mm-hmm. So those are basically bracketing this half square are your levels.
Okay, perfect.
Right in here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how it plays out. That's silver. One that's really, really interesting to me because of the numbers and the squares it's made, and it's just gotten its ass kicked recently, is copper. But I'll tell you why I'm interested in copper. On a shorter time frame, on a 4-hour basis, we've done from high to low, we did 180 by 180. That's a really good square. And it's not like, oh, maybe it was 185 or maybe it was 175. It's 180 by 180. There's divergences at the low on some momentum things and indicators we look at. And this to me looks like the first push up, which we got stuck right where we're supposed to, which is on the full square. So for me, the key thing with copper here is, can we get through this and sit on top? Or does the first pullback give us a higher low on which to sort of create a launch higher? But with the full square at that 715 low, which was a week ago, by the way. So this past week we did, we sort of did this pullback in this rally while gold and silver were actually making lower lows this past week. So the divergence there is interesting as well. I think the key things here, timing, we have timing coming in the week of August 21st, and that's a weekly timing, which again fits in with bigger cycles that we're looking at. So I think there's a lot of evidence beginning to mount that we found a low here in copper. The question is, how are we going to rally out of here? Is it going to be sloppy and choppy and we stay under this resistance, which would not be very bullish? Or are we going to start seeing some upward movement, pullbacks with higher lows that we can then trade, trying to catch that fast third leg? I know you've been looking at copper, but cautiously because of the continuing decline. Where are you in copper now, Barrie?
Well, I don't think it's done yet. I think, like we were talking about the other metals, it's probably got a little lower to go. I have a 292, 290 area as big time support coming off the high.
Which would be down here near the full square. Yep.
Right. So that's really, otherwise I'm kind of in between. I really don't have anything above till we get above, like, let's say 360. So I think all the metals are probably on the same track, maybe hit those bottoms at different times, but yeah, looks like a little lower before higher.
And interestingly enough, if you look at the daily, here's your first drive, here's your second drive. If we get one more push, it'll be a third drive.
That would be nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't always get what we want, but that would be nice. It'd be a nice setup.
Yes.
So that's copper. The star of the week, as we said, was nat gas. Let's go look at nat gas and the setup we saw last week. And where are we this week? There's nat gas.
Looking good. Looking good.
Man, this thing's unbelievable. So about 3 weeks ago, we talked about this low coming in here and then the push up off the low. This
was in the square.
Yeah, that is the key, right? And I remember even talking about once we got that full bar above that square, it's really, really bullish in gas. You can see it multiple times it's done that. Look what happened after this bar. Yeah. Boom. Look what happened after this bar. Boom. It just
definitely catching the right vibe there.
Yeah, it just trades that way. Now, do we want to buy up in here? Absolutely not. This thing is crazy. You have to catch it on these kinds of moves down and into support, into areas where your risk reward's in your favor. Here, the danger here is if we do get weak crude and gas gets weak, in sympathy, energy, and we make a lower high, you could set up a hell of a short here. So if we fail in here, you got to watch out. And if we make a lower high with divergences, I mean, you really got to watch out. So still bullish longer term on nat gas. The trade was there. We made it. It was wonderful. But up here, the risk reward's just not there. And we're coming into this resistance, from the run up to the highs in May, June. So let's see how it goes. Now, if we get up here and we sit on top of this square, that's another story.
Yeah.
So we really need to see how price action plays out this week. And if we make it up to this square, how are we going to interact with this square? Getting stuck under it would be pretty bearish. Sitting on top of it would be uber bullish. So we're in no man's land, as Barrie likes to say. Anything else to add here on gas?
No, just to stay the course. Looking good so far. So
See what happens.
let's not mess with it. It's moving.
Right. Next one, the last one is one of the softs we wanted to look at, which is cotton. Now, cotton's had its teeth kicked in after it made this high in April. You can see on this pattern, we've got 3 drives completed. 1, 2, 3. And we've had a really nice push up out of that low. The low came in a previous area of resistance, previous area where we made some highs. So the table's set, we pushed up. Now we're at the decision point of this full square. Are we going to fail here and get stuck under it and roll over again? Or are we going to be able to get on top, sit on top of this full square, and then we launch higher? That's the decision point right now. That's the setup. I'm watching lower time frames for evidence that we're going to be able to do this and make the move higher. We got a nice square here at the low. I didn't write the square down, but anyway, we have decent square here at the low. It's all a matter of what kind of movement we're going to get around this full square. What's the resolution here?
Right.
Sit on top, it's bullish. Get stuck under, there's more to go to the downside. Anything else to add on the cotton?
Well, the square is we came down 288 degrees.
There you go.
So, that's
big
4
move.
squares at 72. So that's pretty good. And coming off the lows in 2020, where you have that line, let me see, hold on.
Yeah, the price is around 91.65.
Yeah. So the high that we made on Wednesday is a key level. We got to watch that. That's the level to take out if we're going to move higher.
Yep.
Because that's 180 degrees up from the 2020 lows. So it's a key level, key level right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see we had 3-4 days this week of, pretty intense battles right around.
We're going to fail. We're going to fail there. If we're going to make it, then we're going to have to get on top and then probably start trekking. And we had the 3 drives, beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, perfect, right?
So I think, it's the one to watch for now.
This and soybeans are the ones that are sort of most interesting this week, in terms of potential for action to be taken, if certain things happen in those markets. The bottom line, sort of the summary for the commodities is a lot of them have been correcting. They're coming into areas timing wise and price wise where we need to pay attention. The best setups right now are potentially soybeans and cotton. And those I will be watching like a hawk this week, along with copper. I mean, I think copper, while, there's some questions about whether the low is in, based on price action and getting above that one full square that we were highlighting, there may be a nice counter trend trade going on there as well. Where's your focus this week with the FOMC on board?
Wow. Well, we got to definitely watch bonds, watching the dollar gold combo, and the S&P. We got a full plate this week. Not to mention all these commodities. We got to watch them really close. in relation to the dollar also, but a lot of work this week.
Isn't it amazing, Barry, how almost always when we get these big cycle windows, the markets are all coming into these major decision points.
Right. Not to mention FOMC crawling in there.
They have great timing. They're always in the middle of these cycles. It's amazing. They
Right.
definitely have cycle people working for their scheduler definitely knows cycles, because it always seems that their meetings are on or around really big cycle periods. So we'll see. Have a great week, everybody. Rest up this weekend. Get ready for the fireworks once FOMC happens, and use the levels and use the volatility to your favor. That's the name of the game.
That's right. Thanks, Ben.
All right, Barry, take care.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye.